Hi, Mark. How are you this evening?
Oh, well, it's morning where I am. It's 2 o'clock in the morning in Scotland.
I suppose we are on different ends of the pond, huh, as they say.
Well, the Atlantic is a big pond.
This is true.
Mind you, it didn't stop my ancestors taking over North America, so uh, everything is in perspective.
True. I was hoping you would join me today so that we could talk a little bit about guided meditations.
hmm Okay.
Could you
Well,
explain that to me, like how you do it?
yeah. Guided meditation means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. The way I do it, it's part of my training methodology, the way that I learned how to become a medium in Scotland. Basically, it's using, I'm not going to say hypnotism, but it borders on a method of hypnotic talking where people relax, follow an imaginary story that I create, and that sort of basically relaxes them, so that when they're open, you do an opening before you do the guided meditation, obviously, you get into a deeper ability to access spirit, I think is the words I'm looking. You can then have a one-to-one encounter with one of your own loved ones. Some people get somebody that they're waiting for, some people meet their guides. But generally speaking, somebody coming into it for the first time will meet one of their loved ones. Then at the end of it, it's sort of just the reverse process. I break the connection with your loved one and then talk you back to being awake and being open and being safe.
Interesting. So when do you actually perform these guided meditations?
As a general rule, I do them in my circles. And as you know, I do quite a lot of online circles. So every circle begins with one of these. That's really, I'm doing a different purpose when I do it in the circle. It's to get people to a deeper level of connection with spirit, so that when I start training them, everybody goes, oh, wow, how do I move so fast in your circle? Well, that's one of my secrets. It's because I'm doing that every time. They're more receptive to the messages that their loved spirits, I was going to say loved ones because they're doing messages for other people, they're more receptive to the messages that spirit are giving them.
Interesting. So how often do you do these circles? Like how often would somebody do this kind of process?
Well, if somebody's training with me, I recommend they do this daily. And that's why I post them all on YouTube and in the Facebook group that I run. In terms of circles, well, you know that you're running them with me. We do 5 circles a week at the moment with plans to do more. I run 4 of them, you run 1 of them, and I've got plans for other people, some of the good students, to run some of the other ones. That answer your question?
I think that works. So one thing we don't talk a lot about, are there any like safety things that people should be concerned about if they're doing this on their own, not in a circle?
Yes. 2 basic guidelines. If you've done guided meditations before, and if you know how to open and close, then you don't need to sit to the end of the video. As long as you remember to close down. If you don't like my style, that's fine. Not going to take it personally. But if you're doing it for the first time, and if you don't know how to close, then it's essential that you stay till the end of the actual guided meditation itself and you go through the closing procedure. Otherwise, you're going to be walking around open, and that's not the subject of this video, it's in this introduction, but it's not healthy and it's not safe. So just be aware of that.
Okay. And how would people know if they were open?
Classic symptoms are sleepless at night, maybe waking up at a regular time on a repeated basis at night, walking down the street with a group of people and suddenly getting messages, suddenly getting impressions, anything that's unusual that's happening to you. You suddenly know that you're going to get a parking ticket. That happened to me in my early days. I was sitting in my flat, I'd parked the car at a double yellow line, which in the UK is a no-no, it's a big fine. I just suddenly got this impression, and for no reason I just got up, ran outside, jumped in the car, literally just as the traffic cop was about to slap a ticket on me. Now that sounds all fantastic, that's great, but the problem of being open is you're using energy, literally, and cumulatively. If you're walking around constantly open, you'll be very tired. I mean, you know yourself, we get a lot of people coming into the circle and they say, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, what's happening to me? I run through those symptoms, tick, 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 tick. We teach them how to close. and we never see them again because they're doing it themselves. I'm not complaining about that. I'm quite happy as long as they know what they're doing, and they're protecting themselves.
Yeah. So if people watch this and they're experiencing any of those symptoms, would you recommend that they come to one of our free circles and at least learn how to close down?
Yes, absolutely. Or, I mean, you can probably master it yourself if you sit through one of these guided meditations. Maybe do it a couple of times. Maybe I've got 30 of them online just now, and I'm trying to post about 3 a week. So there's plenty of them out there. Pick them at random, sit through them. If that doesn't work, then yes, certainly come to one of the circles. Just explain what's happening to you. We'll talk you through it. And I've also got a book on Kindle that if you do a search for Marc Stuart Medium, that's I can't remember what I called it, to be honest, but it's basically on the subject of opening and closing and nothing else. So get that little health safety manual as well.
That's great. And don't you also give them that book for free if they do attend a circle?
Yes, we did in the past, but remember, we're actually winding down the free circle elements. We're changing. Instead of having people come to one circle, we're getting people to come for an entire weekend in 3 circles, charging $150 for it. And I'm not doing this as an advert. I'm just saying, in 3 circles, I can teach you a lot more than I can in 1 circle. But yeah, certainly, if it's just a case of learning how to close, jump into one of the open circles.
Well, the weekend intensives are going to be really amazing because we're doing a lot more than just the 3 circles. So.
Yeah, just basically store up on the caffeine over the weekend.
Right?
By the time you get to Sunday night, you'll be exhausted. But yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. If you want to, if that interests you, fast forward to the end of the guided meditation. There's a wee advert there with links and telling you what to do. And, we're getting slightly sidetracked. Let's just get into the guided meditation experience.
Sounds good.
And then if you'd like that, watch the advert at the end, follow the links, and you can book yourself for a weekend. Or look me up on Facebook, and you can find me quite easily, Marc Stuart Medium. Send me a message, and I'll send you a link for one of the circles if you just want to come along and learn how to close.
Yeah, right. And they can always reach us by email or Facebook, or we're everywhere.
It's very simple. The website's at the top of the screen. Search for Marc Stuart Medium on Google. You'll find lots of links. Search for Marc Stuart Medium on Facebook. Again, I've got about 10 pages, and find my profile. There's lots of ways of getting in touch with us.
Yep. Sounds good. Well, Marc, I will see you in our next circle. Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, so if everybody would like to join me for an opening prayer. Dear Father, Mother, Spirit, thank you very much for bringing us together. Please allow our guides, guardian angels, to put a protective circle around us. Please help us to open the door to the other side in due course. And please allow us all to connect with loved ones and to give messages to others as evidence of life after death. Please build up some energy during this circle. And in our closing prayer, we'll ask you to use that energy to help other people. Thank you. Amen. Okay, so what we're going to do now is grounding and opening. If you are familiar, if you're able to do this by yourselves, feel free to not listen to me and use your own methodology. Alternatively, feel free to follow what I'm doing. So if you all make yourselves comfortable, feet firmly on the ground, close your eyes, listen to my voice, take a deep breath. Hold it to the count of 3 and exhale. Take another deep breath. For this time, I want you just to clear your mind of everything, all the day's activities, all the irritations, all the distractions, and just exhale and clear it all out. Finally, take another deep breath. And that last distraction, just as you breathe out, just clear your body, clear your mind. Now, we're now going to open ourselves up to the other side. Again, if you have your own methodology, feel free to do so. Otherwise, just follow my voice. Picture yourself in the roots of a big oak tree, underground. You're way, way down in the root system. And picture yourself as mental energy moving up those roots. The roots are getting thicker and thicker. Move into the trunk of the tree. Move up the trunk, all the way up. It's an old tree. It's a thick trunk. It's a strong tree. And select the strongest branch. Move yourself through the branch, out towards the end of the branch. It splits a couple of times. Just keep following the strongest branch. And finally, you come to a twig at the end of the branch. And at the end of that twig, it's a curled up autumn golden brown leaf. Move into that leaf. And as you move into the leaf, it begins to uncurl. And as it uncurls, it turns from autumn golden brown to summer yellow green. And the sun is shining down on this summer green leaf. And as it is now fully open, so you have opened yourself to the other side. When you're ready, just briefly open up your eyes. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is a guided meditation. Now, Cheryl, Andy, without putting your mics on, just nod if you know what a guided meditation is, and I'll just get straight into it. If you don't know what a guided meditation is, I'll explain it. Right. Okay. Now, I have been told that my guided meditations are fairly unique, so just a health warning before we do them. So, close your eyes, make yourselves comfortable. Feel the contours of the chair. Feel every bit of that chair. That chair is part of you. You're so attached to that chair, which is probably quite good, given where the chair is. And don't open up your eyes, but just follow my voice and open up your imaginary eyes. Have a look at the view. You're approximately 8,000 feet in the air. Your chair has a parachute attached to it. And there's the wreck of the plane in the distance, blowing up, that you just used your rocket jets on your pilot's chair to escape from. But you're perfectly safe. You're still comfortable in your chair, and you're slowly floating down. And it's a big chair. Well, it needs to be for the job it used to do. And you're going down to 4,000 feet, 3,000 feet, 2,000 feet. A couple of seagulls fly past you. And yes, as you look down, you're coming down to the sea. And then your chair lands in the sea and sort of falls backwards and starts. It's got wee sort of floating devices attached to the side of it that's going to keep you up until you unstrap yourself. And you've got a dinghy, a self-inflating dinghy that sort of ejects and starts blowing up. So scramble off the chair now and get into the dinghy. Your chair now starts to sink under the water. But don't worry, you're in a nice, safe, yellow dinghy. Look around, and there's a nice, convenient island just in the distance. And in the dinghy, there's a small plastic oar. So get it out. Start paddling or rowing and head in the direction of that island. And it takes you forever because it was just a small dot that you saw. And you're getting closer and closer. And finally, you arrive at the island. Pull the dinghy up onto the sand. It's got supplies in it that you're going to need. Sit down, get your breath back. Now stand up and have a good look around the island. This island looks vaguely familiar. You've seen it before, which is quite strange. And then you begin to feel maybe it was a movie you saw it in, which of course is nonsense. How could you be on an island in a movie? And your memory goes back to an old movie from the 1920s, 1930s, black and white. And you just laugh at yourself. How can you remember? How can this be a black and white movie from that time? Anyway, you start walking through the island, and a Tyrannosaurus Rex walks in front of you. And you think, gulp. And then some natives run up towards you, but they're not natives in terms of people that would live on an island. They're quite clearly your imaginary actor natives that you would see in a movie. So you shout over to one of them, "Are you actors? Is this a movie?" And they shout back, "Don't be silly. We live here. What are you talking about?" So they take you prisoner, they tie you up, put you on a pole, start carrying you into the island. And you think, am I dinner? And then they get you to the village and they untie you and they say, no, we just wanted to get here as quickly as possible. But we do have a plan for you. And you see in front at the end of this village, this massive, strong wall with a big, massive gate. Now we're talking a wall that's about 100 meters tall. How these natives built this wall with that gate, you think this must be a movie. And they open up the door and they push you through. And on the other side, you're in a jungle, even denser than the one that you were in, that they carried you through with the Tyrannosaurus Rex walking past. And there's all sorts of creatures, imaginary, horrible, monstrous. And then you hear this massive roar. And this big, huge hand comes down and picks you up. And you realize that you now remember this island. It's from a movie called King Kong. And you're now in the hands of King Kong. And he picks you up to eye level, and he looks at you. And you're imagining the worst. And finally, he just smiles. And he says, "Hello, welcome to my island. You didn't think I could speak." And you say, "No, I didn't. I didn't think you could speak." He says, "Well, that was the problem of those old black and white movies. Here I am. Here's my retirement home." And he carries you over to the side of a mountain, and he's got a nice little hut or house built into the side, puts you down, and there's all sorts of people in this island. All the stars of the King Kong movie that are living here in their retirement. And he says, "Would you like a drink?" And he goes to his little, manages to put his fingers over to the drinks cabinet, and he gets a drink and hands it to you. And you mingle with the guests. And then finally somebody comes over that looks very much like a film director. And you say to him, "Are you sure this is real or is this a movie?" And he says, "It can be either, whichever you want." You do realize that this is the spiritual realm. And then he says, "Come with me." And he takes you over to a door at the back of the room that you're in. And he opens the door and he takes you through that, or he pushes you through that into a room. Now it's a room from your own memory. It's what I call your safe room. It could be something from your childhood. It could be something that you got just now. It could be the very room you're sitting in. It could be an imaginary room. But it's where you go when you need to be safe in your mind. Just visualize wherever you go in your own mind is this room. Everything is exactly as it should be. Everything is in its right place. And there are 2 chairs in this room. One of them is empty, and one of them, your loved one from the other side, is waiting to meet you. Everything up till now has just been an imaginary journey to get you into a mental state to be able to have a one-to-one conversation with your loved one. They knew that you were coming. They've been waiting for you. I'm going to leave you with your loved one. They stand up, embrace them, say hello, whatever's appropriate for this person. And I'll come back in approximately 2.5 to 3 minutes. This is your time. You're not here to get a message for anybody else. Any communication that you do now is quite literally just you and your loved one. So I'm going to leave you now and come back in 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so I want you to listen to my voice again. It's time to say goodbye to your loved one. They know it's time for you to leave. Stand up together, embrace as appropriate, walk back towards the door. Your loved one is behind you. Your loved one is left. Don't look back. They knew it's your time to come home. Walk back into the party. Everybody's getting a bit tipsy now. The drinks have been free-flowing. Grab some food, grab a drink, spend a little bit of time with the party. King Kong's waiting for you. He doesn't grab you this time. He puts his hands out now that you see him. Clamber up onto his finger. Sit comfortably in the palm of his hand. He walks back towards the gate. The natives open the gate for him. Puts his hand down. You get off. And they say, you're in luck. The rescue ship is here. The Coast Guard has arrived. And they walk you in a procession. They get guards of honor down to the beach. And there's a helicopter. And the pilot's waving you on to get into the helicopter. And you clamber up the steps, get in, and the helicopter takes off. And the man that's sort of standing in the back to make sure you're quite safe is laughing. He says, you're going to get into lots of trouble for that big expensive jet that you lost. You didn't realize that you were a jet fighter pilot, did you? And the helicopter heads towards the big aircraft carrier. And it lands, you get out, and you get a change of clothes. And then you have to go up and speak to the captain. And while you're waiting for him, one of the ensigns says, have a seat, sir, because you're a captain, you're a pilot. It's a very comfortable chair in the corner. So just sit down. And then you realize that this chair feels very familiar. Close your eyes for a moment, just to relax before you see the officer. And then you find yourself drifting back to where you started, in your chair, in your room. And when you're ready, open up your eyes. Dear Father, Mother, Spirit, thank you very much for working together with us. Thank you for all the spirits that came forward. Thank you very much for all the messages that were given and that we all got. Please take the energy that we have generated tonight. If anyone knows anyone that needs some healing, either say their name out now or say their name in your mind, and please draw on that energy and send them some healing energy. And Spirit, please take any energy that is left, put it into a nice, colourful energy ball, and find somebody out there in the world that can use that energy. I'm sure in Ukraine just now, there must be thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that are needing help. Please find somebody that needs some healing energy or just needs some hope to get them out of the desperation that they must be in. And please, if there's any way that you can help people there, and if there's any way that you can bring sense to that mess that's going on just now, please intervene on all our behalves. Thank you. Amen. Okay, everybody, so let's close down. So if you want to make yourselves comfortable, close your eyes, tune into my voice, picture the open green, yellow-green leaf, and as you move into it, it begins to curl up, and as it curls up, it turns golden, autumn brown. Now move up into the twig, move all the way up the twig into the branch, move up through the branch, into the trunk, move down the trunk, all the way down the trunk. This tree's been here for over 100 years. There's 100 rings in that trunk. As you move down, just count them all. Into the roots, the big, thick, strong roots. Move down the roots get thinner and thinner until eventually you're at the tail, string thickness roots, thread thickness, and then just look up, and above you is a canopy of grass and grass roots covering you in safety, and you are now safely closed. And when you're ready, just open up your eyes.
So, Mark, how are you doing this evening?
Well, it's now 2 in the morning, AM, so I'm very tired.
Well, could we talk tonight about Scotland? I want to know about Scottish mediumship and what makes it different.
Okay. Really, I think the easiest way to explain it is tell a joke.
Okay.
Imagine yourself at any point in what we call the central belt of Scotland, which is where 75% of the population live. That's where the two biggest cities are, Edinburgh and Glasgow. Lots of towns and big cities and small cities in between. But basically, within 10 to 15 minutes of wherever you go, I guarantee there will be three things. One, a tourist attraction. Two, a castle. And three, a spiritualist church. So, the spiritualist church just underemphasizes the major point about spiritualism and mediumship in Scotland. It's everywhere. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter where you go, there is a spiritualist church very close to where you are. Or if you walk along the high street and say to somebody, where's the nearest spiritualist church? Now, just be clear, when I say spiritualist church, that means spiritualist centre in America. We just call them churches in Scotland. So don't get hooked up on the religious aspect. Somebody will be able to tell you, maybe not the first person, but certainly the second or the third person will tell you, oh, they meet on Wednesday at the such and such hotel, or it's that building around the corner. So we're everywhere. I mean, literally. And every church, every spiritualist centre has a circle, and that's where they're teaching people to be mediums. And every circle has between about 5 and 12 people sitting in it. Some of the bigger churches run multiple circles. And then you've got private circles like the ones I run as well. So that's the second point. We have a teaching methodology. Now, there isn't a central governing body that says this is how we do it, but sort of free enterprise, you know, the ways that don't work disappear. We're all pretty much following the same methodology. Every medium has their own style, which is true. I have my style, but basically they're all following the same basics: teaching opening, closing to protect yourself, sitting in a circle, which is protected because you've got a group of people working together, and it's very focused, teaching people to receive. We don't get, I mean, you know, there's none of this, I'm going to teach you clairaudio this week, I'm going to teach you clairvoyance this week. Everybody's different. So it's a process of self-discovery to discover how your guides and how spirit are communicating with you, and then develop that. And it's practice. I mean, it's like going to the gym. You know, you don't lift a big, I don't know what they're called, dumbbell. You know, you don't lift the big dumbbells that are on the first day to the gym. You do your exercises, you do low weights, and you work your way up. Well, that's the same with spiritualism. Then you start doing platform work in a church. You go around multiple churches with a medium. You're called a pledge, and the churches know what you're doing. So again, you know, it's standard practice. You run what are called open circles, where your own church, your own centre, just basically lets the congregation know that next service is going to be the students that are doing it, and everybody's, you know, they're not expecting you to give them an absolutely spot on 100% if you've only been in the circle 2 or 3 times. And I suppose the final differentiation is we teach people to go direct. I often forget about that because, for example, I've got 2 students just now that are English, and mother and daughter, and they said in the last circle that we'd been closed over Easter, so they'd gone to a couple of church services locally, and they are now these ladies are pretty good. So, you know, don't underestimate when I say they're students, but they actually turned around to each other and said they could do better than the professional mediums that were giving the messages, because they were just calling it out. Now, what's the difference between calling out and going direct? So let me give you an example. I'm standing on a stage, there's 100 people in the audience, and I shout out, I've got a spirit coming forward, his son or daughter's in the audience, and his name's Tom. Now, I guarantee that 10 hands are going to go up that know a parent or a grandparent, or other partners' parents fathers were called Tom. And, you know, then and he died when he was in his 80s or 70s. I'm not 100% sure, but he was definitely 65 upwards. And then one hand will go down or another 2 hands will go up. I've actually sat in one church service where 5 hands went up, 2 hands went down, and another 5 hands went up, and 6 hands. And this just continued because everybody wants to get a message, and everybody is going to make whatever it is you're calling out fit themselves. What I do is I'll say, I'm just giving an example. Can I come to the woman with the hair down to here in the sort of green top, maybe a sort of circular neck, hair down one side, showing her ear on the right-hand side? Yeah, is that yourself? Can I work with you? Yes. Can you understand a father-like figure called Tom in spirit? Oh my God, yes, that was my grandfather. That's going direct. That's the difference.
It does leave a bit less room for interpretation, I think, or
Yeah.
or doubt, maybe.
Correct. You know, I mean, basically, anybody that's calling out, I'm not saying they're not working properly, and I'm not saying they're not getting messages, but they should be sitting in circle until they can go direct. That if I see any medium, I don't care what their level of experience is, if they're working by calling out, I would just say to them, don't even bother giving me the message, just go back and sit in a circle and learn how to go direct. Or if you can go direct, go to somebody else and go direct.
Hi folks, this is Marc Stuart Medium, the Scottish medium.
So here I am sitting in front of some Highland coos, and the Scottish medium, yes, I come complete with the southern Scottish accent, not the broad Highland accent, but you also get the Scottish sense of humour. What does that mean? Well, let me demonstrate.
I am Marc Stuart Medium. Now, just to explain how this works, I'm going to give you evidence first of your loved one. It will be personal. You need to give me yeses or nos. Don't give me information, just yeses or nos. Then I'll give your loved one the opportunity to speak to you and give you a message. It'll be very relevant to your life. Do you understand this? Are you ready for the message? Will you be going one at a time or both together?
Don't worry, I'm not crazy. I'm not trying to give messages to horses.
Although I have brought pets forward on many occasions. This is not about giving you a reading. This is an invitation to a weekend event running from Friday night to Sunday evening, depending on your time zones, of course. I will be doing it from Scotland. I'll be joined by a couple of American mediums. And the title of the weekend is American and Scottish Spiritualism. Basically, what we're doing is we're taking Scottish techniques. I mean, you must have heard the expression or the question, why are Scottish mediums so damn good? Well, come and find out over the weekend. It all boils down to the way that we study, the way that we learn, and it's what we call circle-based. Don't panic if you don't know what a circle is. You'll find out over the weekend. We start with a 2 to 3 hour training session that we call a circle on Friday. On Saturday, we have a talk / miniature lecture followed by another circle. Sunday gets a bit more intensive. We have a personal development event in the afternoon. That's basically more geared towards people that are beginning, that need to build up the confidence, although after 2 circles, I think your confidence will be riding high by this point. Then we have a third circle, and then we finish with a bit of a chat and give you some advice about what you should be doing next. 3 circles in a row will be very tiring, so keep the caffeine running over the weekend. Cost of all of this, $150, but that's 6 events, all run on Zoom, with an average of 2 hours to 3 hours per event. So I don't think 150 divided by 6 is really that expensive. And on top of that, you get access to 4 hours of video material, which we would ask you to watch before you come on the weekend. That was filmed just outside of Lilydale in New York State about 3 years ago by myself. It's basically a workshop, more background knowledge than hands-on teaching, but it'll give you a good background before you come on the weekend. Hope to see you soon. Hope to see you at the weekend. Please just follow the links that you've seen going along the bottom of the screen, or click the link in the text for this advert or this post, whichever you're seeing this in.